Yo, what's going on? SCG week 2, we have a great Behind Enemy Lines. Remember, Behind Enemy Lines is a conversation between me and a YouTuber slash podcaster from the other team, which is very important. Is I try to keep it an hour. So, guys, if you have questions about the Texans, this is your time. Any questions you have, I'll try to bring them up as much as you can. But it's supposed to be a good conversation. Yes, some sort of a debate, but we don't go too overboard because if not, we're gonna go past an hour. But that's the format of the show. So, without further ado, I'm introducing you your Texans YouTuber, Third Coastal Sports TV. How you doing, man?
Man, appreciate you having me on once again. We met last year in the law season. When y'all waxed us, you didn't have to do us like that. You took us right over your knee. You know what I'm saying? And we had to come back and go eat that crow, but it's all good. Shout out to you and Graven. You know what I'm saying? Y'all holding it down for the Ravens in a major way. Watch y'all from afar, man. And y'all keep it a G. And I like that. And y'all don't overdo the fandom as far as how when you talk about you speak about them in a realistic light, and that's all you can really ask for as a sports fan.
So, I appreciate you coming. I remember last year. I would say last year I expected to be a closer game, and when
Me
we
too.
talk about it, I remember saying like, "Yo, I think the Ravens win." I think I might have had it by 7 or 10. I think, but obviously it didn't happen like that. Obviously, for me it was great. For you, not so much.
No.
But different year, new
Yeah.
season. Obviously, you guys are coming from semi bye. You guys played Thursday against the Chiefs, defending champions. So the schedulers didn't do you no favor. Chiefs and Ravens back to back, the top two offense in the league last year. So saying that, let's just talk about this matchup. Let's just forget about the Chiefs for a moment. In this matchup, what do you think they're gonna have? What would you expect you guys to do different on defense against the Ravens offense?
Look, man, I'm not one of these fans who's gonna sit on and say that the defense is gonna do this, especially after what I saw from y'all last year, because because that's what I have to go off of. Now, I'll mention the Chiefs briefly in the way that Clyde Hilaire was used against us right out of the gate, and he used something, and the Chiefs. They pretty much played us in a way that we matched up against them the first time in Kansas City. The game went our way,
Mhm.
and then it was pretty much the same game that the playoff game was. You start out hot, you cool off, you let the team come back, you do something in garbage time, and the game really isn't close at all. Now on South Sports, shout out to South Sports, the round table, head honcho. Y'all already know what it is, major love. But as far as this game and how I look at this game, I look at this game as a clear loss from us because I know we don't have the athleticism on the edge right now with the problems that we had against Mitchell Schwartz and those guys with the Chiefs. I'm pretty sure J.K. Dobbins is going to be able to step it up. Gus Edwards had a good game against us, and we don't even need to talk about if Lamar Jackson is in the mix. Dudes was getting snagged on. Last year. Like Willie Snead. Y'all don't have Hayden Hurst to really help y'all out. But Mark Andrews was a problem. I see him in a situation where he's still going to be heavily relied upon on third downs. If Lamar gets in the pinch and he has to dump the ball down. But I see the running game just being a little bit too much. And the main reason why I'm saying that is because one of the key cards we had on our defense is now with the Bengals and DJ Reader. So the responsibility in the middle, and because this is a new defense, that we're pretty much putting together, I don't see it gelling in time for this game. I just don't see it was too many miscommunication issues. I seen dudes getting bullied. I seen dudes not playing with any tenacity, and Bill O'Brien is involved. You know what I'm saying? So when you have Bill O'Brien involved in the situation, it's no way that he's going to have this team ready. And the more he talks, the less he's going to be prepared for this football game. And I don't see it being a complete blowout the way it was, but the way it was last year. But I won't be surprised if y'all guys end up winning the game by like 10 points, which we'll get into probably into some key matchups that we can look at. But as it stands right now, I see this game being won by the Ravens, and the conversations are going to steadily be, Lamar and Mahomes are so much further ahead of Deshaun when we all know that's really not the case. He's on exactly their level, but he's just in an unfortunate situation where the franchise is being ran by wimps and they don't do anything enough to make sure that this man has all the keys and let him drive the whip the way that it needs to be ran. So I, that's how I
So,
view it.
so right now, if I think about the Texans, the Chiefs ran pretty good against you guys,
Yeah, they did.
and I think you guys on the defensive side against the run. I mean, it looks like you have that's probably your weakest side. Although I don't think the passing defense is not that much better. But
I agree.
when we went to against the Browns running defense was not great. And what they did was they said we just gonna make sure we stop the run
Hmm.
and let Lamar Jackson throw. Right,
Right.
and they were fairly effective against the run.
Hmm.
Our running backs, I think, averaged like 3 yards per carry,
Hmm.
and but that created a lot of one-on-one matchups, right? And they
Right.
tried to do zones, they tried to do man, and
Hmm.
Lamar Jackson just picked them apart. He
Right.
threw for 3 touchdowns. He didn't break the 300 yards, but he didn't need to because we were having great
Right.
field position because our defense was stepping up,
Right.
and then we also produced 2 rushing touchdowns. So I
Hmm.
think the Texans might try that defense that
I hope not.
the Browns try because right now, if the problem is you have to pick a side, right? I don't think the Texans are talented enough in the defense that they can say we're just gonna try to play a complete defensive game. So we're gonna play good against the run, good against the pass, and just gonna defend well.
Right.
Um, I yes, I saw gaps in the edge, which is usually where Lamar loves to run.
Yeah.
I saw some holes in the middle, although the middle wasn't exposed as much. But that's where our running backs like to attack between the
Right.
tackles. So that is going to be hard. But then if you pull that defense in,
Hmm.
who's your corners? Meaning Hollywood Brown brings you speed, right? He was there. He had a great game. And Mark Andrew was a mismatch against the safeties for the Browns. And then Snead still ended up having five caught. He caught for five. He caught 5 balls and got a touchdown. And
Yeah.
I mean, Lamar distributed the board because also Boykins was there and the rookie Duvernay also
Hmm.
did his thing. So saying all that, how do you think? So you talk a little bit about the run, but how do you think the secondary can match up against the speed? The Ravens made a concerted effort to bring speed in the receiving court. So how do you think that speed will work against your corners and safeties?
I don't even think it's going to be a true mismatch as far as the speed goes because I know they're going to do everything they can to try to bracket a guy like Hollywood Brown because he's a deep threat and he can beat you at any port or at any part of the field. In between the hashes, outside the hashes, doesn't matter. Deep downfield, Lamar Jackson is hitting them on darts, for like 50 yards. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the chemistry that these guys have. But it's going to be really the physicality of the receivers that's going to be able to outmatch the corners that we do have on this football team as it stands when it comes to the Ravens. You guys just play a different level of ball that the Houston Texans are capable of playing, over the last 3 or 4 years on defense. Ever since 2016, the defense has had some bright spots as far as the run defense. When you had Clowney, you had a few other guys in the building, you could make a case for certain things being shut down. But outside of Justin Reed, right now, I don't really have a lot of trust in anybody in the secondary right now. I mean, Bradley Roby, he's okay. I mean, he's nothing to just. He's okay. We don't know when he's going to show up. Lonnie Johnson, he's coming back in his second year. He has a lot of physicality to him, but I think it's a bigger issue, outside of the talent, which is going to affect this football team. It's just the overall chemistry and the communication. There's a lot of communication, and it's a lot of trust that really isn't there from what I see, so I see guys are going to probably have to step up and try to make plays. If plays are breaking down, they're not going to have an answer for Lamar Jackson whatsoever. So it's just going to open stuff all over the field. And until we actually have some first round picks and Bill O'Brien goes out in free agency with a bang and act like this isn't the last year he's going to have his job. Play like this is going to be his last year. He's ever going to be a head coach. Then I see no way that the Houston Texans defense, especially the secondary, if the offense, the weapons of the Ravens really want to get involved and show them, hey, bro, we can just run through you, and we're gonna make it clear it's only a 1 and 2, and there is no third.
Mhm.
And that's the way I see a situation now. I also see, people on ESPN trying to gas this up and be like, "Oh, it's going to be a upset for the Texans." I don't see it. I guess for Texans fans who are a little bit softer amongst our fan base, anything that they can take, they'll give it. So anything that's given in the media, be taken by some of these fans, but they're gonna have to see a harsh reality that when it comes to real talent, we're lacking so much on defense as far as pressure, as far as scheme, and just making plays that Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and other quarterbacks like that who want to step up are just going to continue to thrive and have big games against this defense.
So now, if we flip it to the other side, right? We're talking about Watson. We're talking about your offense. There was a big loss on the DeAndre Hopkins. I'm still shocked that you guys traded him.
Right.
I heard the Ravens were trying to give a second for him as well, but
Yeah.
obviously they didn't want to give him to the division or to a opponent in the AFC. So it ends up going to the Cardinals. We saw what he did over there in Arizona last week. Saying that,
Mm-hmm.
the offense, it has some weapons. I like Will
Of course.
Fuller, especially when he's healthy. The problem with Will Fuller is health.
Right.
Can he be on the field? When he's on the field, he's fast. He's a tall
Yeah.
receiver. He can make plays. Then
Mm-hmm.
you got Cook, a guy that also is unreliable on health throughout his career. But
Mm-hmm.
again, when he's healthy, he can perform well. Another speedster guy. And you still have Kenny Still, which at this point in his
Yeah.
career, as a third guy ain't bad. The one thing that concerns me with all those three guys is they're more outside guys, more go deep receivers. I think Cook you can use in drag routes, put him some sort of space, but the rest, he thrives more like just let me go, I'll get the ball, and then I'll make the big play. And then your tight end that is like 8 foot tall. I forget his name.
Darren
Uh,
Fells.
yes, Fails.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Fells is nice. Yeah.
he's the intermediate guy. And
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, looks to me also that Duke Johnson is also that guy that they want to have as a safety
Mm-hmm.
blanket. And then you have also the other running back that is Johnson as well.
David Johnson. David
David
Johnson.
Johnson. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the Johnson brothers, let's call them that.
Yeah.
They're not only running backs, they're good catching the ball.
Right.
So saying all that,
Mm-hmm.
what is your plan of attack? What do you think the Texans are gonna plan to attack this Ravens defense? We saw what happened last year. Last
Mm-hmm.
year, I thought that was the game that we had the most sacks. And I
Mm-hmm.
actually don't think your O line played horribly. I thought
No.
Sean just holded the ball forever. So
Mm-hmm.
saying all that, what do you think the Texans will do offense? How do you think they're gonna try to attack the Ravens?
Well, for me, I mean, the best thing would probably be, ball control. Play some, make sure that they're taking the ball out of Lamar's hands, as often as they can. Put them in situations where if they're not able to get any turnovers, just get some big stops. That's really all you need. You don't need a lot of turnover, but make sure that you don't give up any unwanted field position and that you make it easier for this football team. I think if you do that, and if and most of the weapons that you guys have can really beat us up in the middle if that's allowed. So as long as we're not playing too much zone and you man up and you actually pressing dudes, which is one thing that I really saw that we were doing against the Chiefs, because one thing I did notice against the Chiefs, every time Patrick Mahomes tried to throw the ball past 20 yards, it was an incompletion. He didn't complete a 20-yard pass against us the other week when we played him, which was one of the key things that I really locked in on. And I was just like, damn, like Patrick Mahomes is not out here completing passes over this, a certain amount. Everything when he was completing passes, it was short passes. It was quick screens. It was quick little dump offs. And Clyde Hilaire was just running the ball down our throats. You know what I'm saying? This is not a game where you not running run pass option. You have to do that. You have to get some bootlegs. You have to get guys into positions, motion guys out, get the defense a little bit confused. It's not like you don't have the speed, because we can be frank, outside of the Kansas City Chiefs, and if you really match up the 40 times, our teams was a little bit faster when you think about the entire when you think about the entire landscape of speed that you can match per team. And it's a situation where the game plan and the execution is going to end up being a major factor. I think Deshaun Watson will be able to he'll be able to do his job. The offense really stepped up, and I think because they've already been able to go against certain guys like Calais Campbell, they already know what it's like to play him year in, year out, having just seen him with Jacksonville. I think they'll, just depending on the front of what they have to see. But if it's one place where he can affect the game is if you move this guy around and he's attacking the right guard. Zach Fulton is a major liability. He gave up a lot of pressure last week. Titus Howard, he had a decent game, but he left some plays out there to be desired, but the left side of the line was handling their business. I feel like if you're going to run the ball to the left. David Johnson, get him more involved in the passing game and ramp up the passing game, because we didn't really pass a lot last week. We ran the ball because we wanted to keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. That's what you're going to have to do against Lamar Jackson, but make no mistake about it. The corners on the Ravens can be had, by the speed that we have, but it's also going to be dependent upon how the front plays and if they're giving Deshaun Watson enough time to be able to scan the field and get out of the pocket. If that's the case and they're not doing their job up front, then the Texans could potentially have an upset.
Okay, so saying all that, I will disagree first of all on the speed part. I think the Ravens right now are bringing a lot of speed between Duvernay. Essentially, what they say was, Kansas City, this is your mold on the receiver size. And I thought we needed one bigger receiver. They said, nah, we got to wait shorter, faster guys. And that's what the Ravens have. And that's how they create a mismatch with the Browns. But my main thing is, if in the passing situation, if Deshaun holds the ball, that's when it will start being a problem. And it can go back to last year. The Ravens had good corners. I think the Ravens can defend your receivers, just man up. Like if you think about Fuller, Humphrey, Cook can be guarded by our guy Tavon Young, or Cobb, and then you still had Jimmy Smith and Peterson that can go against Stills and Cook. So I feel the corner situation for us matches well against your receiving core. The running back situation last week, there was a couple big plays that we allowed the Browns. Now, to be honest, I think the Browns running game, meaning those two running backs, are one of the best in the league between Chubb and Hunt. But one of the runs was the rookie got cut out of position. He ran in and the guy just bounced out, and I think a 30 or 40-yard run at least. But in the middle right now, we have Calais Campbell, Big Baby, and Wolf, three big body guys. So saying that, I think what the Ravens are going to try to do to the Texans is they're going to start the game and just try to choke that run. Make sure the run doesn't get going, and then force Deshaun to pass. And when that happens, I think you're going to see some blitz, and then the Ravens are notorious to just throw different looks. For example, the one interception that Baker had last week, Calais Campbell. And you would never think this, but Calais Campbell actually dropped like almost 10 yards back. Right? So they had a free rusher that came. Basically, they switched. Calais pulled back, and Calais should have had that pick Obviously, a D tackle, the end over there, 10 yards deep. He didn't catch it, but Humphrey caught the ball for the interception. So I think this is where I think if the Texans actually want to be successful, they should take a page out of what the Rams did against Dallas, and it's more short passes, quick
Yeah.
passes. Let's run, play action, quick pass, run, play action, quick pass, and then eventually take that deep pass against with Fuller or whoever, right?
Yeah.
So right now, like if I'm looking at it, I'm like, who has the edge in this game? Well, defensively against your offense, I think the Ravens are pretty well. I mean, obviously last year we did good, but even this year, I felt like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I felt like your guy over there, O'Brien, actually took the offense, in my opinion, and put a step back. D Hop for me was a top receiver in the league, if not top two. And losing a
He's
guy
number
like
one
that,
around these parts. So I mean,
yeah,
I can go on for many reasons as to why he's number one and over so many other guys,
yeah,
including Michael
and
Thomas. You know.
I'll be fine with that
Mm-hmm.
because I think D Hop is amazing. So if you take D Hop out and you say, "Oh, Brandon Cook is essentially his replacement," that's a major step down. Um,
Yeah, that's how I feel.
and then O line wise, it's basically the same as last year. At least when we play you guys, you already had Tunsil, right? So
Titus Howard wasn't in the game. We had a few
yeah,
injuries. Titus Howard was in that game.
that's
Wasn't
true.
in that game.
That is true.
So yeah. So I mean, I'm saying I'm giving. I can give them as far as protection. I think the protection will be better this year than it was last year. You know, it's a guy that's still Max Sharpen is a guy that's is definitely to be looked out for. So don't be surprised if you see number 74 on the left side of the ball is moving some guys out of the way. The only thing he was lacking last year was strength. Now that he done got his strength up, he
But
was doing some things last week that I was just
my
like,
main thing is I don't even think the O line was a problem last time because the times we
dude
sacked,
couldn't get open.
well, that's the problem. And that I think right now your receiving core took a step down. I think Phelps is a nice tight end as a
He's
safety
okay.
blanket, right? He's
Okay.
a big body, but I think what the Ravens are going to do, they're going to try to put Jimmy Smith,
Mm-hmm.
6'3" corner on him, try to man up because your boy is big, but he's not fast. He's not super shifty. He's more like
Mm-hmm.
I'm running a couple yards down the field. I might do a curl. I might do a out. I might do a dragger, but nothing super flashy. Great red
He's
zone.
not who you need to worry about as far as the tight end goes. He's not who you need to worry about.
So,
Jordan Akins, number 88, he's
okay.
not. But they're finding more ways to really get him more involved. But he's similar to Mark Andrews in a lot of ways, but he has a little bit more athleticism. And like as far as yards after the catch, he can if he's not being looked after, then he can get some big chunk plays, very good size. He does not go down easy. Last week he had a play that he caught on the sideline. He ducked down, and got like a good 20. It was just a crazy play. And every time he's been called upon, or if he's, they have the ability to be able to look his way and get him involved in the game plan, he's had some very good plays. So he's probably one of my sleeper players of this game. Not that, but when it comes to most people who don't actually know who he is, so because when he pops off your screen, we're like, damn, who the hell was that? You know what I'm saying? You're like, wow, who is this guy? He's that kind of guy who just sneaks up on you, and the more he gets involved, the more type of plays that he can really make for an offense. But I agree with you that the short passing game is really where it needs to be. I mean, you have guys who can get serious yak. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not like, you don't have the guys to get the yak, but the same goes for the Baltimore side of the ball, which I'm pretty sure, John Harbaugh and those guys are going to come up with a hellified scheme, and they're going to be able to attack the Texans where they lack the most. But the most efficient reason why I feel like you guys are going to end up winning this game is the coaching, and the coaching alone. I honestly, I mean, I just
You
feel
don't like
like
O'Brien.
across the board, the coaching is not even in the same stratosphere Not only that, you have the cohesion and you have a winning blue collar type. Like, we don't fucking lay down for nobody. I don't care
Nope.
what the roster looks like. It is what it is, and we're gonna give it everything that we got. You know what I'm saying? And that's just one of the things that we lack severely. Not that we don't have players that have this type of mentality, but those players get shipped out. Hence why Jadeveon Clowney is with the Titans. Hence why DeAndre Hopkins is out here catching 14 passes for 151 yards and a touchdown in an Arizona Cardinals uniform. You know, so it's situations that we have that we deal with in the front office, and it's the way that this man constantly beats himself. You have the talent to really beat anybody when you're prepared. But when you're not prepared, you look completely unprepared, and the team just looks like pure trash. And everyone knows that this team is much better than what is being showcased on the field. And it's just an unfortunate situation where people feel like people's careers are being wasted.
Yep. I think Bill O'Brien's actually a decent coach. I just think for me specifically, he is a horrible GM. Not bad, horrible. Like all the moves that he has been making has
We
been bad.
vehemently disagree on both aspects that you just made, but continue.
Okay. Well, my main thing is if I go back, he couldn't get the left tackle situation sorted, so he had to trade two
Mhm.
first-round picks so he can get a guy, right? So right now
Yeah.
you don't have draft capital. And then he goes DeAndre Hopkins, best receiver in the league, gets a second, right? And
Oh
then he
my.
trades a second for Cook, right? So again, so basically he's saying, well, Cook is as good as D Hop because that's roughly the same value that he gave up. And
Basic.
then Clowney traded for a third. I believe he could have gotten
Yep.
better or more for him.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that I seen him as a GM, like before I take him as a
Right. Right.
coach, it's just been bad, very, very bad, which has been putting, in my opinion, Watson in a bad situation.
Of course.
And then as a coach, I think there's something said for winning the division so many years. Um, you know, the winning the division is not easy. You can say, well, our division is not the greatest. Still, winning the division so many times, I think there's something towards that. That's why I say he's an okay coach. I don't think he's great, but I think he's okay. I've seen worse. Let's put it like that. I've seen worse coaches than Bill O'Brien. But as a GM, I don't know who decided in the upper management that you should give the keys to him for him to for be the GM.
Mhm.
But whoever that person is, obviously didn't know what he was doing because as a GM, oh my God.
Well, let's go ahead and break down these fallacies of what people think that he's remotely a good coach. Now, it wasn't until Deshaun got here that he became that he even went above 10 win plus. So without Deshaun Watson, he never wins 10 games. This man consistently, he chose these guys. He chose all of these quarterbacks that we have. He kept these guys in situations. He constantly played dudes out of position for years and is still doing it. The moment the dudes from the Texans leave, they win Super Bowls. That's a fact. I can run down so many players who have left the Texans who are now Super Bowl champions, but I'm not gonna get into that. It's more of a farm system. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what Houston really is right now. And come on, the AFC South for the longest until 2017, the AFC South was nothing like outside of Andrew Luck. There was no other good quarterback. Jacksonville, we told them, because Freddie Krueger had to come on and put his glove on and let them know that it was a nightmare on Elm Street. From 18 until now, because they ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? I understand they just, they got an upset win against the Colts, but they can beat the Colts. They were beating the Colts when Andrew Luck was there. If the only two teams, in that situation while Andrew Luck was a quarterback, the only two teams who could even beat him were us and the Jaguars. The Titans were 0-11 versus Andrew Luck as a starter. They've never beaten Andrew Luck, ever. Anytime they've ever won a game, he was out. So they know this, I know this. But as far as like when you think of the quarterbacks, and let me be even more frank, Bill O'Brien only prepares for the AFC South because he has no aspirations beyond that. When that's your only aspiration, when you think that that's all you can do, of course you're going to be 4-2, 5-1 against an AFC South who, in more recent years, has started to build its way up, and now you have a situation where you have a 3-sack race, of who can take the division. But make no mistake about it, that's not hard to do when you have Deshaun Watson as a quarterback. That's not hard to do when you have no corners who can defend DeAndre Hopkins year in, year out. That's not hard to do, when every other coach that you have in the division at the time before Frank Reich came, that now somebody actually has some ingenuity. Not too long ago, the Colts had one of the worst defensive lines, and since Quentin Nelson got drafted, they have one of the better offensive line plays in the league. Now they can just tailor and they can just put anybody in. Marlon Mack goes down, no problem. Nyheim Hines is out here. He gonna ball. Oh, we don't want to feed him the rock no more? Okay, we just drafted Jonathan Taylor. Watch what he's gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Like, T.Y. Hilton been killing this team for years. You know what I'm saying? And you still haven't had any answer for him outside of injuries. You know what I'm saying? So it's the terms and preparation. You do not go. This man was before last year. This man was 18-31 against teams above 500, playoff teams. So don't tell me he's a good coach. Don't tell me because he won the AFC South with Brian Hoyer, Brock Osweiler. He almost won it his first year with Ryan Fitzpatrick when we went from a 2-14 team to a 9-17, which was hands down the best team he ever coached, where I feel like, okay, he got something. But that immediately tapers off, and the mindset of this team constantly dwindled down year after year, along with the talent, and it's just getting pushed away. So when you can't defeat, and like last year we took a turn and we beat a couple of teams that, most people didn't think we would beat. But, that's a credit to Deshaun Watson, because look what he has to rise above. Not to say that you don't have other contributing factors, but let's be real. This man is magical. Like, he wins primetime games, and he always has this team in a position to win the game regardless of how down you are in a football game. But execution, many other things, and just an overall culture. We no longer have a culture that you can win by. And Bill O'Brien doesn't provide one, and neither does the front office, because all they care about is lining their pocketbooks instead of putting wins in the column. When this is what your football team represents year in, year out, how can he be labeled a good coach?
Noted. So let's move on now to some key matchups in the game. So obviously everybody's going to talk about Watson versus Lamar, and I always say, okay, that's good, quarterback against quarterback. But the reality is they don't meet each other in the whole game until the beginning and the end. Right? That's all. That's the only time they're on the field at the same time. Beginning, yo, how you doing? At the end, great game. Keep it going. Sign some jerseys. Let's keep it moving. Okay. So now let's go back to your defense. What is that key matchup that you're hoping to see defensively of your defense against our offense?
I'm gonna like the matchup between Justin Reed and Hollywood Brown, because I feel like if for any reason that anybody gets past one of these corners, I want to be able to see the support that he provides, and will he be able to make plays to make sure that downs are being affected, and that's really what I want to see. I don't really think it's going to be much of a pass rush. JJ Watt is washed. I'm not remotely worried. Watch how many times y'all abuse him. If he gets outside the line, he has to dive at somebody's feet. Just watch it. I'm telling you, he's going to dive at least 4 or 5 times. He's going to be a non-factor in this football game. I'm telling you right now. But Justin Reed, and the only other person I think I'll be able to mention who had an upsetting game to me last week, but I think then, played very well against the running backs, is Zach Cunningham. Zach Cunningham should play very well this week against the running backs, regardless of who it is. He's the only guy that I can really see contending. So those are 2 players that I say on defense, when it comes to you guys, what the matchups can really be.
Yeah, a couple of ones of your defense against our offense, or in my case, my offense against your defense. I actually was going to mention Zach Cunningham against not only in the run, because I like Zach Cunningham. It's a guy that I wanted the Ravens to draft a couple of years ago.
Right.
But I want to see when we draw J.K. Dobbins, can he keep up with Dobbins in the passing game? So that for me is an interesting one. Also, actually, I was gonna say how JJ Watt, because I think the problem is I think JJ Watt at this point in his career, he should not be on the outside. They need to kick in more in.
No.
You don't think
Right.
so?
I agree.
No, you agree. Okay, and
I
then
agree.
our center he looked bad last game. So I would expect the Texans to somehow try to see if JJ Watt can get kicked in and manhandle our center, because again our center's coming from a any CL that he had in his knee, he blew up. So he's just coming back from that. So I want to see how the Texans attack our O-line, especially that middle of the O-line. Our outside, the tackles, they're fine. But that middle of the O-line, I want to see how the Texans attack. And it's all about scheme, because I don't think right now you have that guy. Like you had Reader before, but you don't have that guy over there in the middle that can be that guy. But maybe you can throw a couple of blitzes or maybe put JJ over there. So I want to see that matchup. Also, I want to see how the Texans attack the passes. Are they gonna put that the safety, your safety, if you're gonna be roaming on the over there as a high safety, or you gotta bring him down? So I want to see how you guys are gonna be using the safety situation against Baltimore. Those are my matchup of our offense against your defense. Now, and the flip side, your offense. Who do you want to see against the defense? What are the key matchups that you're looking for?
I want to see if Will Fuller continues of what he was doing last week. I want to see, how Deshaun really trusts him in key situations. And it didn't matter the corner. It doesn't matter who it is. I don't care. He's going to have to go up against whoever's matched up against him anyway. Any corner you got, whether it's Peters, Jimmy Smith, we're going to have to see, what we really have in Will Fuller going on from this point, because not only is he going to have to be on the field, but in key situations, he's going to have to be heavily relied upon. So I'm expecting him to step his game up, and what better team to do it against than the Ravens defense, because they're way better than the defense we just faced.
So for me, and if you ask me our defense, yes, I think how our corners handle the speed of the receivers, I think I'm gonna Marlon Humphrey used to be traveling with the best receiver. I think once we got Peters in, I see Peters likes to play on the right side, and I see Marlon then staying on the left side. So I'm expecting to see more of that. But even Peters had a better game than Marlon Humphrey last week. So, which is crazy because I think Marlon Humphrey is the better corner, but Peters had a game. And then I want to see how. I want to see how the middle linebackers. We have two young middle linebackers. How they keep progressing.
Patrick Quincy.
Yeah, but not only two good running backs, but two running backs that, in my opinion, are more dangerous in the passing game than in between the tackles. So I want to see how they defend them once they go out of the backfield. Okay. So those for me is a good matchup. My linebacker against your running backs, receivers against your corners, and then I want to see our D line against your O line. Yeah. I want to see how Calais Campbell comes out. I want to see Tyus Bowser. He took a step up last week. How he does against one of the better tackles in the league, Tunsil. So I want to see how our pass rusher. Because if we can generate pass rush, just throwing yourself 5, just rushing 5, game is over. Because usually we win by blitzing, creating turnovers because the secondary is good, and the blitzing creates the quarterbacks to go quicker. And then Deshaun Watson doesn't run much anymore. He runs occasionally, but he's not a runner because, in my opinion, he just doesn't want to get hurt. And I respect that. He has a great arm. He doesn't need to be running. So saying that, we don't have to put a spy or anything on him because the reality is he rarely is going to take off. So I think it's so you don't
about that.
He's gonna rush.
To be honest, I mean, he's always running and he's still keeping his eyes downfield. Make no mistake about it. If you don't account for him, his ass is taking off, and he can take off for a very big gain. I really think they tried to peel him back, but to be honest, he doesn't run enough, and they need to run him more.
I can agree with that.
And that's a problem. Exploit that.
No, so the two things can be true at the same time. I
Right.
think they should run him more.
Right.
Ravens usually have somebody looking in the backfield. Even when we go man, we have
Right.
the safety or looking. So if he sees the shot's gonna go off, but at that point he needs to just be the one guy.
Right.
But the other thing is the games that I watch from the Texans, it's not that he doesn't run at all. It's that he is very timid to run. I see sometimes I'm like, dude,
He does
there's
hesitate. Yeah, he does
yeah.
hesitate here and there. Yeah, he
And
does.
that's when he holds the ball too long, and then somebody catches up with him from behind and all that. So I think actually the Chance should run more, and they just slide instead of just taking the hit, just slide down.
Right.
Because he is dynamic. But I don't know if it was the injuries that he sustained early in his career, plus the one in Clemson, that he's hesitated because he doesn't want to get hurt. Obviously, like any team, if you lose your starting quarterback, any team in this league, if you lose your starting quarterback for the year, you're basically done. There's very, very few teams that can say, I lost my starting quarterback and I was still competitive, right?
Right.
It's the reality of the situation.
Right.
So I'm going to let you go with this. I'm not going to put my score prediction because I have another video that I do. I break down a little bit more of the game and all that. But I want you to tell me your score prediction and why.
For me right now, I think because the defense, practice against a more electric quarterback once he's outside of the pocket, because we can't say that he's probably the most electrifying, quarterback outside. And the fact that I think that they play technically sound defense up front, and they play very well, with their gap assignments, and the level of communication that I can see the guys having is why I see major success. But as it stands right now, I see a game 31 20.
31-20 Ravens.
Ravens, yeah.
31-20 Ravens. So you heard him here, Third Coast Sports TV. My guy, where can they find you?
Oh man, you can find me on Twitter, Third Coast Sports TV. You can find me on. You can also look me up on Soft Sports. I'm always with those guys at Honcho, the Round Table, as well as my own channel. That's titles Third Coast Sports TV. I also stream on Twitch. You can be on Twitch.com. / Third Coast Sports TV. You should be able to find me. We got competitive gameplay. We do pack openings, things like that. We also have a Discord. So if you guys want to get on that and you want to get involved in the conversation, we welcome all fans to come aboard. We don't have any issues. We like y'all to talk that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to talk big. Don't think just because I'm giving y'all the win that we ain't going to still, talk that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm still going to get in your ass one way or another. But you know what I'm saying? But you just got to be realistic, man, with the team that we have. And I feel like anybody that's willing to tell the truth about the team, it goes a long way, because I'm not willing to be a fanboy just because I got that tatted on me, you know what I'm saying? So, that's just how I see it, be the fan that we need versus the fan that everyone wants to hear.
I got you. So, guys, if you want to check his channel up, it's also in the description. His Twitter is also in the description. Go follow him on Twitter, and then, on game day, you can talk trash to him. He'll talk trash to you.
Oh, yeah.
So,
we're going to talk. We'll even send you a link to the Discord, because we want Ravens fans in there talking that trash during the game.
Guys, thank you for joining the live stream. There's going to be a couple of videos this week. Go check out the Joe Nubo show is coming up at 9. I'll be there. Also, don't forget AFC North Talk tomorrow at 5:45 p.m. Eastern. We're going to do predictions for week 2.
Okay.
And also, don't forget the preview between the Texans and the Ravens. That video is not live. It's a recorded video. That should be coming Thursday or Friday. So thank you, everybody, for joining the live stream. I will see you next time. Peace out.